welcome back to my channel. I'm here because I had a major download, okay? I was laying in bed, it was 6 a.m., I couldn't fall back to sleep, and I suddenly had a deeper understanding of the idea that things only exist because of your awareness of them. I feel like abstractly that's a really simple idea to understand, but the true deeper meaning of that and that knowledge just hits so different. And that's what I want to share with you today. Today we're going to talk about how you can shift your awareness to focus more on things that serve you and align with your true highest self, and focus less on the things that don't really matter, don't have nothing to do with you, and just hold you back. And I'm not talking about astral projecting or lucid dreaming or anything like that, okay? I'm gonna be honest, not really my thing. I'm talking about shifting your perception to shift your reality. Boom, boom. And while we talk about it, let's just set the mood with some incense. I'm gonna burn Twilight. This is from Serene Botanicals. I actually walked past her booth at a flea market and I smelled that she was burning this and I was like, what are you burning? And she was like, it's Twilight. And I was like, I'll take 20. Gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Now that the vibe has been set, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure that you do that. I have a whole playlist on manifesting, how to get anything you want in life, how to shift your reality, etc., etc. Go check that out if you haven't already. And let's just get into it. So when it comes to shifting your awareness, the first thing that you need to do is take inventory of what currently is. Acknowledge your current reality and take note of what you are currently perceiving on a day-to-day basis. So for me, I perceive that I'm a married girly in my late 20s, I live in Los Angeles, and I work in social media full-time, and I model and act and create content on the side. That's kind of my reality, that's how I perceive things, that's where we're at. This is my life, and this is the life that I'm perceiving every second of every day. And I really want to emphasize here that you want to be intentional with your awareness. Oh my gosh, it's so smoky. Can you see that? And what I mean by that is if you continue to move as if life is just happening to you and you have no say in the matter, you're not gonna have the knowledge needed to make an intentional, well thought out shift. It's okay to acknowledge where you're currently at. Realistically, you can't move forward without taking inventory of your current life and your current mindset. Think of it like a little race, okay? A 100-meter race is only a 100-meter race because you know where the starting line is and you know that the finish line is 100 meters from that. You can't see the distance without a starting point. You can't intentionally go anywhere until you acknowledge where you're starting. So take an inventory of where you're at, take an inventory of your life, write it down if you have to. You know I love a good journal moment, so I definitely wrote mine down. And then it's time to take inventory of what could be, what should be, I should say. There are certain aspects of my life that don't align with where I want to be. And these things that don't align are only holding me back because I perceive that they are. And I have a great example of this for myself personally. I never thought that I would ever get into commercial acting or modeling, okay? I never saw myself as an actor, model, like none of that, okay? It didn't even exist in my mind. It didn't even exist in my world. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, right? So while most people start acting and modeling in their late teens and early 20s, of course that's not everyone, but especially in modeling, you see a lot of younger people doing that kind of thing. I'm starting in my late 20s. I'm 28 and I'm just getting started. I started when I was 27. Could I have started back then? Of course. But my perception of myself and my reality just confirmed to me that that could never happen. I wasn't tall enough, I didn't have the look, I just never really thought about it. And now I'm 28 and I haven't gotten any taller. My looks haven't really changed that much, although I did ditch the side part and now I have a middle part, which I think is a major game changer, by the way, if it's something that anyone out there is considering. But besides that, I'm pretty much the same. I might have aged a little bit, right? So nothing physical has really changed that would enable me to suddenly start pursuing acting and modeling. But my perception of myself and my life changed. That perception changed in such a huge way that now I genuinely believe that I can do it. And as a result of me believing that I can do it, I am. From believing that I can, I am, period. So take notice, write it down if you have to. What aspects of your current life need to be changed? What needs to be flipped? What perception needs to be altered? And where are you truly meant to be? And there's a certain level of intuition that's needed here, right? You really need to focus, maybe meditate on it a little bit, and be really clear on where you want to go. Because this is actually gonna happen, okay? And as the Pussycat Dolls once said, you gotta be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. They went off with that one. So now that you're clear on where you're at and where you want to be, it is my favorite part. It's time to act. It's time to remove your current perceptions and shift yourself into the reality that you want to be in. But what the hell does that even mean? It means reducing your awareness of everything that doesn't align with your ideal situation. And this is a choice. This is an intentional choice to stop focusing and being so aware of the things that don't matter to you and don't serve you, and shifting that awareness to the things that do. I'm gonna give you a couple of examples here. Let's say you took inventory of your life and you have a full-time job that you absolutely hate, and you want your new reality to be that you work in a freelance capacity. You don't work in corporate anymore, you don't have a full-time job, you're freelance, you do your own thing, you're your own boss, right? I feel like that's a very common aspiration for a lot of people. Stop spending so much time and energy thinking about your full-time job and how much you hate having a full-time job. Instead, shifting your awareness into the reality where you're a freelancer, treat your job like they're just your client. That job, they're just one of your clients, one of many. And it's a big client for sure. They pay you what would translate to a full-time salary, but it's not the only one. Maybe you work on pitching and getting a couple new clients on the side. Maybe you use your full-time job work in your portfolio. Make use of the current life scenario that you're in by adjusting it for your ideal 3D. I'm gonna give you another example that I feel like is pretty common. You're currently living in your hometown, which is lame and dumb and you hate it, and you wanna move to New York City or LA or whatever. Shift your perspective a little bit, okay? You're not currently living in your shitty hometown that you hate. You're just visiting from New York City or LA. You're just visiting, babe. You're on vacation, visiting your parents, visiting your high school friends. It's just temporary, okay? Now the question is, what are you gonna do when you get back to New York? It's time to plan for that. Shift your focus. Shift your focus. And this is where my light bulb moment comes in because I made this connection, and maybe you've already made it, but if you haven't, buckle up, okay? Buckle up. When you intentionally choose to focus on things that align with your ideal 3D, you will see and experience those things more often. And this is rooted in psychology, okay? This is cognitive bias, right? It's technically an illusion. It's the illusion that you're seeing something more often just because you've seen it once. So if you ever had a conversation with someone and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I really want a red Mercedes. And you're like, that's kind of random. I feel like I never really see those on the road. For that next week, now that your friend told you that she wants a red Mercedes, I guarantee you're gonna start seeing more red Mercedes on the road just because she brought it up to you and raised your awareness. The same thing happens, you take the same route every day to work, and one day after work, you decide, okay, I really wanna stop by Target on the way home today. You've never stopped by Target on the way home. You didn't even know that there was one right off the freeway that you take on your way home every single day. And you can actually see it from the freeway, but you've never noticed it because you've never thought, I need to go to Target before. But now that you've thought it once and Google mapped it once and found out that it's just on the side of the freeway, when you go home now, you notice, there's a Target there. The Target has always been there. Okay? The Target's been there for 10 years. It has been in your vision every day when you commute. You just haven't noticed it. And your new reality is the exact same way, okay? The things that you want have been there for you the entire freaking time, y'all. What you want, what is meant for you, has always been right in front of your face. But now that you're shifting your awareness, you're gonna start seeing it more often. You're gonna start seeing more opportunities to take on that freelance work that you want. You're gonna start seeing more people doing the thing that you wanna do, and that's gonna inspire you to take more action. You're gonna start to see more possibilities within yourself that you never knew were there just because you raised your awareness of them. Isn't that, I feel like that's just such a crazy psychological phenomenon, and it really makes a huge difference when you take that into account as you're manifesting. At least for me, having that foundational knowledge like, okay, I am able to shift my perception at any time to make these things more apparent. I find that really cool and really inspiring, and I hope you do too. And if you're struggling with this, which I totally get it, there's a lot of things about manifesting that I feel are super abstract and kind of hard to deeply understand. Like, there are many moments where I think I get something just because I understand it on a really shallow level, and then I have a light bulb moment like I had with this, and I suddenly am like, oh my God, I freaking get it now. And so sometimes maybe you gotta wait for that light bulb moment. But if you're struggling to kind of understand how this concept works, I want to give you an example that you've probably already done in your life of shifting your perspective and your awareness away from something and then focusing on something else and just completely forgetting about that old reality as soon as you're out of it. Raise your hand if you've ever had a shitty job. Hi. Yeah. I had a job, I worked in production, and if you've ever worked in production, you know it's long hours, it's rough, people are not nice, like, it's bad, okay? My mental health was freaking shot in this job, and it was all consuming. It was all I thought about. As I laid in bed at night, I had anxiety about this freaking job and what I was gonna have to do the next day. Y'all, as soon as I got out of that job ceased to exist in my mind, okay? Now, looking back, like I'm talking about it, but I genuinely can't feel that feeling that I felt every single day for that solid year in that production job of just like dread and anxiety and fear and just chaos. I can't even bring myself there because I'm so far removed from that reality that it doesn't freaking exist anymore, okay? It's the same thing when you're in a relationship and you guys break up and then a year later you don't even really remember what their voice sounds like or what it was like to be around them or anything like that. Like there are so many aspects of your life that cease to exist when you stop putting that emotional burden on yourself and perceiving them. So if you're ever having trouble kind of letting go of that current perception that you have of yourself or your life or whatever and making way for that new perspective of your new reality, just remember you've done it before and you can do it again. And if you don't believe me, for the next week, I want you, as you're driving on the road, to keep an eye out for vintage Volkswagen bugs. Kind of rare. I feel like you don't really see those that much. Yep, you're gonna see some this week. You're gonna see some this week because I told you to look out for them. They were always there, okay? There have always been a few vintage, old school Volkswagen bugs on the road. You've just never noticed them unless you're a bug connoisseur, then perhaps you've seen them and noticed them before, but most people I feel like you're not. So keep an eye out for that and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. I mean, I had this realization last week and the way that I've been approaching my manifestations has completely shifted. I no longer give a flying fuck about anything that does not coincide with what I'm manifesting. And if it's a part of my reality that I can't change right this second, right? Like it's not a toxic relationship that I can leave right away and the problem is solved, right? Sometimes you kind of are forced into a situation where you're gonna have to stay in that physical reality for a minute while you get your shit together, okay? And I get that. But even with those things, I've just adjusted my emotional involvement and I've adjusted my perception of them and I've let go of this idea that they're permanent. Nothing is permanent. Your perception of anything can change at any time. It's just a matter of grabbing hold of that power and just choosing to change it and really focusing on that. And listen, if it's hard to focus for an extended period of time, bring yourself back. You just gotta keep bringing yourself back, and that's okay, and that's completely normal, and don't beat yourself up about that. But changing your perception is so magical and it's possible for any situation that you will ever face in your life, okay? Even if you have to stay in that situation for longer than you want to, it's temporary. It doesn't matter in the long, grand scheme of things that you're gonna accomplish in this life and the reality that you're gonna live, it's a blip on the freaking radar, okay? And you're not gonna remember what it was like to be stressed over that stupid ass job 3 years from now when you're in your dream job, okay? You're not gonna remember that toxic relationship 3 years from now when you're in a healthy one. And it's not because that relationship or that job never existed, it's because you have shifted your perception and you've shifted your awareness and you no longer focus on it, and that's tea. Leave any questions, opinions, suggestions for future videos in the comments below, and I will see you in my video next weekend. Bye, happy manifesting!